sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Set to waste of existence. Waste of existence. We spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Set to waste of existence. Waste of existence.
The sun is shining and the anxious earth is rising. Anxious earth is rising. I'm so happy.
Spend our life searching for this sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
I did with that. There it is.
Double Tribble is in rural New Hampshire.
What? All right.
Double Tribble is in rural New Hampshire. He has social dyslexia, and he streams science and technology, film reviews, IRL with the animals, civics, and vegan things. What's vegan?
Double Tribble dwells in the rugged hills of rural New Hampshire. He bears the burden of social dyslexia, and yet he streams science, technology, film critique, life among the beasts, civics, and the many matters of the vegan creed.
Double Tribble is in rural New Hampshire. He has social dyslexia, and he streams science and technology, film reviews, IRL with the animals, civics, and vegan things. What's vegan?
Double Tribble is in rural New Hampshire. He has social dyslexia, and he streams science and technology, film reviews, IRL with the animals, civics, and vegan things. What's vegan?
There we go. Hey, welcome to the Double Tribble channel. My name is Ron. I live in rural New Hampshire, surrounded by forests, wild animals. Sometimes I stream about that, like today. Stream about it a little bit. That was my promo. Okay, everybody saw my my channel trailer. All right. Today's potpourri. Potpourri. That's what it is today. Not the smelly kind. The miscellaneous kind. Miscellaneous potpourri. I should have put that in my as one of my tags. Potpourri. I should do that. I'll do that after the stream maybe. So I'm talking about I want to follow up on my last stream, which was about the movie that I did. I did a movie review last time. I think that was my last one. And so I wanted to follow up on that because there were a couple of things I left out and didn't think of and blah, 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 you know. So I wanted to do that. Also, the deer are back. I did a few streams ago. We had a little baby deer and its mother, and it was a big, dramatic story about it. And all, anyway, we did to give it away. The fawn and the deer are back, and they're happy and everything. So I got more video of that, more IRL of that. Oh, that's what I put in there, IRL. Everybody likes IRL. For those of you watching this on a VOD, this is just a stream. It's a live stream on Twitch. Those of you who don't know Twitch, it's where folks can stream stuff, do live streams. And on Twitch, people swear a lot on Twitch. If you don't know what Twitch is like, so I try to speak the vernacular. So every once in a while, I try to throw in a swear word. So if that's not your thing, then you shouldn't be watching Twitch videos, right? Because that's what happens on Twitch. What else? I told you where I am, what I'm streaming about. And it's a live stream, so there's going to be, obviously you can see there are mistakes. I'm NeuroD, you saw from the trailer. So it's not like, you're not watching NBC or something, you know what I'm saying? It's just me streaming here. All right, so let me do. I think I'll wait on the deer videos. We'll do those a little bit later. But I want to follow up on the Bliss stream. My Bliss. I think that was my last one. Let me look here and see what my last video was. I'm pretty sure that was my last one that I did. But I'm gonna look on my channel and see. It's at Twitch, twitch.tv/doubletribble. That's where the channel is. If you're watching this on YouTube somewhere or something like that, so you can go there and you can watch watching this on all YouTube my streams. Like Twitch doesn't censor stuff as much as YouTube does. All my streams. Twitch doesn't censor stuff as much as YouTube does. Let me shut that audio off so we don't have double. So you can watch all my videos on Twitch, almost all of them. I mean, the recent ones, because they delete them after a while. Or you can go to doubletribble.com and see, especially like my older videos and stuff like that. And those are completely uncensored. There's nothing censored on those at all. So, but yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get. They don't do. They cut. Like they cut this review I did for this film called Second Coming. There's a film that I did, and when I uploaded to YouTube, they didn't like that because it was about black people. I don't know why they censored that. I mean, I can do movie reviews all day. There's fair use, right? I can put clips in there. But they said, "Oh, you used clips." Like, I don't know. But I guess it's okay to use clips from videos as long as it's white people. But if I show a film with black people in it, then they censor it. Then they say, "Oh no, you can't do that because of copyright." So, fuck them, right? There you go. There's my first swear word. Fuck. Yeah, it was the last video. I just see on here that it was the last, my last stream that I did. It says 6 days ago, so that was the last one I did. So that was on Bliss. So what I'll do, let me play some of those things here. I got what I did is I made a couple more clips to explain a couple things that I didn't explain on the other one, and it was actually something that I had suspected and wasn't really thinking about, but I'm pretty sure now that what was going on with that movie. So let me bring up that video. All right, I've got a video player here, and let me load up that video. Open file. Let's see. Open file. Open file. So in Bliss.
Boss wants to see you.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm.
Can you hear that? I think I got that working. All right. During this movie Bliss, right? I don't think this won't spoil it for you. I don't need to put up the spoil thing. If you haven't seen the movie, I think it'll be okay for you to see this. You won't know what I'm talking about. This is for people who have seen the movie and who saw my review last stream. All right, so there we go. I'm going to play just a little bit of this just to make sure it's working and broadcasting okay and all that from this player.
Headed down there right now. I just was speaking. What you got there? Nothing.
Alright, I think it's working. I don't know. This is the scuff part that I was talking about at the beginning, where things get screwed up. I'm going to play a little bit more here just to make sure it's working.
No, it's just kind of private, sort of. Oh, that's okay. Sorry. That's all right. That's okay. Yeah, just let me get this phone call. Sorry. I'm okay. I'm there.
All right, it's working. All right, so the deal is that this Greg Whittle is the main character, and this is co-worker number 1. I don't know what the guy's name is. I don't think they gave him a name in the film. He's a co-worker. And I'll just play the clip, and then I'll explain what's going on. It's his co-worker. This is at the very beginning of the movie, where Greg is all hectic and worried and blah, 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 all this stuff. He's about to get fired. His coworker comes in. His coworker knows he's about to get fired. And when I saw this first, I thought, okay, this guy's just an asshole coworker who is sadistic and wants to, just give Greg a hard time. But there's more to it, I think, than that. So let me play that clip, and I'll explain it.
Boss wants to see you. Yeah, I'm headed down there right now. I just was speaking. What you got there? Nothing. No, it's just kind of private, sort of. Oh, that's okay. Sorry. That's all right. That's okay. Yeah, just let me get this phone call. Sorry. I'm okay. I'll be there momentarily. Could you get that door for me, please?
All right. So what that looked like, was just from Greg's point of view, because this movie is done from the protagonist's point of view, and the audience doesn't get any more information what the protagonist knows. I think I explained it in the last stream, the review. So what Greg thinks is going on and what the audience thinks is going on, without really looking at it too closely, is that his coworker is coming in at a time when Greg is stressed and just pumping up his stress even more and just being an asshole to him and then walking out. That's what it looks like, right? It's just an asshole coworker. But what I think, and this is more speculative, but I think what may be going on here in my review, something that I commented on was that opioids don't cause delusions and hallucinations. They don't cause psychosis usually. It's very rare for an opioid to do that. So, and I commented on that, and I said, well, they did it here in the movie anyway. But now I'm thinking what happened was this guy came in. Greg had his little bottle of pills on the desk. This guy came in and distracted Greg with the coffee falling and stuff and the phone call. You got a phone call. While that was going on, he swapped out Greg's pills. And then when Greg snorted took the pills, he snorted them right before he went in to get fired. Then that caused the psychosis. That's what I'm guessing happened here. And I'll play this again one more time here, and you can see it. I'm not looking at chat right now. I'll get to chat in a little bit if there's anybody there. So.
Wants to see you. Yeah, I'm headed down there right now. I just was speaking. What you got there?
All right, see his pills are right here. Can you see that? Is it showing? Yeah, the pills are right here. See that? There's his pills on the desk. And this guy, grabs the thing, starts distracting him, and he puts his hand right next to where the pills are. And then, right, this is from what Greg knows is going on.
No, it's just kind of private, sort of.
So he distracts him, and his hand is right there by it. And then for a long time here, Greg doesn't look. He's not looking around. He's distracted and getting on the phone and all this.
I'm okay.
And then the guy smiles, gives this devious smile, and then leaves right away. And looks at Greg like, oh boy, you're in for a trip, or whatever.
Momentarily.
So I think that's what happened. Is that this guy came in there. He's working with Isabel in the drug gang, and he swapped out the pills and walked out. And then when Greg snorted them, then that's when he got psychotic. I think that's what's going on. This is more speculative. It's really up for interpretation on that one, where that's going on. But one of the reasons why I think that is true,
could you get that door?
Is because a little bit later, he's involved in perpetuating this story that they're trying to, this delusion that they're trying to feed Greg. He is directly involved in that. I'll play that clip. I think I got that clip here. Let's see. Right here it is. So.
Could you get that door for me, please?
All right. So this is when he's with Isabel, and she's given him. He's already kind of recovering from getting fired or whatever, and he's in the bar, and she gives him these, what are they, the yellow crystals or whatever, these pills that make him even more delusional. And she's trying to pretend like she's fixing his problem, which he doesn't even have in the first place, right? Because it didn't happen. And so his boss, ostensibly or whatever, according to the delusion, his boss falls out of the window, and he runs out there and he sees his coworker out there. All right, that's too loud. Sorry. Let me put that down a little bit here.
He's just fucking committed suicide in the middle of the day. What were you doing in the bar? I was just getting a snack.
Let's go.
Did you do that?
Did what? A dozen witnesses saw him jump out of the window and then saw you walk out of the bar across the street.
All right. So did you see how this coworker was acting? I mean, his coworker was acting, right? I mean, he was the character was acting. It wasn't just the actor that was acting. It was the character who was acting in that thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know. So I think that coworker, that guy, I think he's involved in the whole thing. I think he swapped the pills that Greg had so that Greg would start hallucinating, and then when he ran out of the bar there, and Isabel gave him more, right? And then when he ran out of the bar there, this guy fed his delusion. I think that's what was going on there. You know, because back here in the bar, right? Remember, she was. Whoops, shit. Hang on a second. Back here in the bar, remember that she sat there and kind of fed him a delusion, you know, of what was going on or whatever. I think that's what was going on. Anyway, that's a little more speculative, but you know, if you had another idea on that, but I think that's what was going on there. You know, I think his coworker was more than just an ass who just came in there and spilled coffee on his desk. You know what I mean? I think there was more to it. You know, I think that was a distraction. All right, and then oh shit. All right, let me play another scene here. All right. Actually, I'm going to replay a scene that I played on the. Let's see here. When I did my review, I played this, but I didn't say anything about it. Let's see here. All right, hang on just a second here. I'll mute this while I try to queue up this one. I didn't set this up for here, but just take a second for me to find this on a video. And here we go. All right. All right, let me queue this up here. All right, so all right. All right, so this is after the guy fell out of the window and all that kind of stuff, when they're walking down the street and talking. But look in the background. When they're talking to each other, but look what happens in the background.
I'm innocent, right?
You can't go back. You have to lay low for a while until the gates close.
You said yourself that they saw me at the bar, the witnesses.
Exactly. Let them do the talking. Last thing you need is to be in a dark room, bright light on your face with the 5-volt.
Did you see that? Did you see what was going on in the background there? Now I don't know what the. I think there's maybe the alarm has something to do with it, because when he first went into his psychotic episode there in the office, there were sirens too. So I think the sirens may have something, maybe some sort of clue to this. I haven't really analyzed that, but I think it might have something to do with it. But look in the background, what goes on.
Let them do the talking. Last thing you need.
You see that? See that? They have this woman walking in the background, and then she pops up 2 different times.
Let them do the talking.
There, see?
Last thing you need is to be in a.
So, and that's not a mistake, right there. That's not a mistake. They did that was done on purpose. It's a little Easter egg, I guess. I don't know, but it's to kind of give let the audience know that this is not real. What's going on, right? This whole thing is not real. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I found out about that actually. I went and looked at some after I did my review. I went and looked at what other people were reviewing on it. A few more. I actually, this is one review where I actually looked at other people's review before I did mine. Sometimes I don't, but there weren't hardly any of the reviewers that knew what was really going on in this movie, because it's so hard to understand. And anyway, but there were some people who caught that and put it into their review. So it made me, oh, I didn't miss that, you know. So you probably missed that too if you watched the movie. All right, let's see. There's one more thing here. Come on, man. All right. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta cue this up. I didn't actually. All right, we'll start it right here. All right, this is on the Amazon. I got this clip off of Amazon. So this is after he's he's delusional right now. This is after he hid the body, and this is when the first black character to have a line on camera shows up and delivers his line. And this is what his line is.
Is he not here?
Not yet.
Well, it's all you.
Well, I'm gonna get some.
Did you see that? I mean, he said the toilet's all yours, but look at what they put. They did the grammar or number or whatever wrong
Is he
here.
not here?
Not yet.
They did.
Well, it's all you.
See that? Toilet's all you instead of toilet's all yours. Like you know. So the whole thing is just. I explained this before that they try to. Hollywood does this a lot. This is like a thing that they do. They try to associate black people with toilets and that sort of thing, and they did it in this movie too. And I just don't. I don't understand how the guy who made this Cahill guy who made this movie would do that. It just doesn't make sense. You know, unless somebody put that in there and he didn't know it. He wrote the thing, right? He wrote the movie. He wrote it and he directed it. So unless somebody else threw this in there or something, I don't know what's going on there. But it's not good. It's not. It's not good. Not good rep. Otherwise, the movie's really good on rep. You know, it shows people. It has black characters. It has interracial marriage. You know, and the main black character, who's not really one of the main characters, but she's a supporting, right? It's just Greg is the main character, Greg and Isabel. But his daughter, you know, she's very sympathetic, a very sympathetic character and all that. So I don't know why they threw that in there, why they did that, but they do that sometimes, which is kind of not good. Let's see here. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to talk about in that movie. I don't think so. No, I don't think there's anything else. I'm trying to think here. I guess that was it. That was just a couple things that, I mean, the main thing is that his his co-worker there, I think, was in on it. I mentioned that other people were in on it, that Isabel knew what was going on in his work, because that seemed to be the case, that she knew what was going on. And I'm sure they had this guy targeted for a long time. Oh, I know what the other thing is. He is. Yeah, that was the other thing. They were probably targeting him because he was, making more money. He had an office, right? Most of the workers there were just in the pit or whatever, taking calls. It's a customer support thing, is what it was, where he worked. And it was called, the name of the company is called Technical Difficulties, which is it's weird. But he has his own office where most of the other workers are in this pit, just have cubicles or whatever. So I thought, yeah, that makes sense that they would target somebody who's making more money. And also I mentioned kind of on a side that the main motivation is money, right? Remember that she kept saying, get the wallet, right? The main motivation for white drug dealers to do this is because it's for money, right? But there's also side things because in this process of making money, they put people on a string and can control them, very, very intently, very, very aggressively control people and make them do whatever they want when they get them on these drugs. And so that's of interest to other groups, and one of them that I mentioned was the intelligence community. They use that to try to recruit people and do whatever objectives they're trying to do. And that company that they had there, Technical Difficulties, was like a technical company, a company that gets calls from people all the time who are having technical difficulties, right? And they contract with other technical companies that don't want to do their own support. They contract out to that company. That's what they do, or that's what was implied by all the dialogue in the thing. And so, that would be a good target for intelligence agency to try to infiltrate a company like that, because they could get be able to talk to when people have technical difficulties. They could call the company and blah blah blah. If like for instance, if an intelligence agency wanted to hack somebody's computer and do it in a way that the person could not discover it very easily by calling, like if somebody has something wrong with their computer, or somebody hacks their computer and they notice there's a problem, they call up technical support and say, hey, there's something wrong with my computer. Normally the technical support person, if they're competent or whatever, will say, hey, your system looks like your system's probably infected, blah blah blah, right? But if an intelligence agency had somebody on the inside of a company like that, they could circumvent that process, among lots of other things, getting personal information on people and everything else, So that was another thing I thought. That's speculative too. that's highly speculative. Yeah. So this stuff that I did today, that I talk about here, a little bit more speculative, coworker and all that, and that other theory is a lot more speculative. But maybe it's something. So anyway, you notice that when I do a review, I like to do a deep dive. Yeah, that's what I do here a lot of times, and I did that in this movie. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Let me go through some miscellaneous stuff. Oh wait, I got something I got to look at here. Okay, let me go through some miscellaneous things that I've been just kind of looking at or whatever. Let me bring up my. All right, here we go. I'll start from this end. I just when I just browsing stuff on the internet, you know, if I think it's interesting, then I'll make a note of it or whatever. In this case, I just left my tabs open, so I've got a browser here. Let me see if I can bring up my browser here with all this stuff on it. Browser, where's my browser? There it is. All right. All right, there we go. So here's my browser. Am I doxing anything? Probably. All right. Something had come up, I don't remember where it was, but I was talking to somebody about propaganda, and I didn't remember what it was, but they didn't know that propaganda was something that had been going on for a long time, and so, I mean, it's been going on in World War II. Of course, it was a big deal. And that's something that I was looking at here. You know, the type of propaganda that they do during war, and we're getting a lot of that right now. You know, I was just amazed that after the asshole invaded Iran, they the reporting was just totally whacked out, you know. There's just a whole bunch of I was watching because I knew at the very beginning, I knew that Iran was not trying to get a weapon, that the U.S. knew that Iran was not trying to get a nuclear weapon, but during the invasion, that was the narrative that you heard, you know. Of course, the asshole said that's why he invaded him, which, you know, he's a liar, right? Everything he says is a lie, or every other thing, or every 2/3 of what he says, whatever. And then probably most of the news sources went along with that and was saying, oh yeah, they're trying to get a weapon, and we got to get the uranium and blah blah blah. I've done whole streams on this, so you can go back on my VODs and see. I've done detailed stuff on this, but it was just amazing to me because I already knew ahead of time that wasn't true. As soon as he invaded them and said that, I knew that what he was saying was not true. I knew Iran was not looking for a nuclear weapon. They're not trying to build it. They didn't have weapons grade uranium, any of that, you know. So I knew it was a lie. But then I kept hearing news sources, mostly mainstream media, going along with that and saying that that's what was going on when it wasn't, you know. So that's war propaganda. That's what that is. So we're experiencing it right now, right? All these things that you see in the news. You know, I recommend don't watch mainstream media at all. Don't even watch it. Maybe check in once a month, just to remind yourself how fucked up it is. Otherwise, don't watch mainstream media. So anyway, that's propaganda it's something that's been going on a long time. The difference is today it's just so much more sophisticated. You know. It's less direct. It's, you know, the whole thing. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see what else I got here. This is the Potpourri section. End of slavery in the U.S. Oh yeah, this was on Juneteenth. On Juneteenth, that wasn't. You know, it's not. Juneteenth was after Lincoln did his Emancipation Proclamation, which was basically a field order to his troops to tell them to free the slaves in the territories that were in rebellion. He said, right? So, which is the South. And Juneteenth is a celebration of after, the time after he did the Emancipation Proclamation, and by the time the troops got to all the every place in the South, which was Texas, was the first one away, and freed the slaves that were in those areas, then that's what their Juneteenth is. It has nothing to do with anything, really. I don't know why they picked. It was like celebrated in Texas. When they found out in Texas that they were free, then they celebrated, and so they've just made that a big celebration. But it hasn't. There were still slaves in the U.S. at that time. The slaves weren't freed until December of '65, right? When the 13th Amendment was passed, right? You know that, right? 13th Amendment. I got a little Constitution here. I'll look up the 13th Amendment, and I'll show you. 13th. There it is. See that? 13th Amendment. Well, that was the 18th. Wait a second. There it is. 13th Amendment. And that was December 6th. There it is. 13th Amendment. You see that? There we go. 13th Amendment. So that is when, that was December 16th, 1965. That's when all the slaves in the U.S. were freed, or the law said they were freed. Let's put it that way. They weren't freed until 1960s actually. I don't know what to think about it. And actually, I think 100 years from now, we're going to look back today and say the people who were forced to work in order to get their basic stuff, they're going to look at that almost as slavery. But anyway, it's not chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is what we're talking about. All right, so that's. That was the actual end. They've got a whole article on Wikipedia on that, which I think would be, recommended. Read all the whole timeline and everything. All right, what else we got here? Slave states and free states. Okay, I don't know what that was. Just another extra on there. Let's see. Let's do it again. Oh, I talked about this movie. This was a movie that I saw recently. Which is the reason I watched it, is I was looking at the description, and it's Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier. And I thought, what the heck how did those two get together? And I guess Sidney Poitier did some comedies, and he actually produced this movie. And it's kind of funny, and it was pretty good. I recommend the movie. It's funny, and Bill Cosby has some issues, right? Something happened to him more recently, before. Anyway, so but he's not getting any money from this. So at this point now, you can watch it, and it's funny. So, but I just thought that was kind of interesting that those two did a movie together. All right, let's see what else I got here. Polish people. I don't know why I was looking at that. I was trying to look up something about that. I don't remember what that was about. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, environmental impact of aviation. Yeah, aviation is a big deal. Whenever I talking to people and stuff about climate change and all that, right? We have record heat all over the world, right? Going on right now. That's because people were putting gasoline in a car and burning it and putting it in the air. That's why it's happening. In vehicles. and planes use a lot more gasoline, or not gasoline, but fossil fuels than a car does, right? So when you're flying, you're putting a lot of CO2 into the air. So one of the main things that you can do to prevent climate change is to, don't fly around all over the place. That's really important. If you're thinking about taking a vacation, to just take, go somewhere really close. You got an electric car, right? You've done that, right? Hopefully you drive an electric car by now, right? I think everybody knows that, right? You got to drive an electric car. The people who are driving gasoline cars, the putt cars that they put gasoline, when you put the gasoline into the tank, right? You fill it up, all those gallons of gasoline, and you drive around. Where does that go? Where does it? What happens to that? All that stuff that you just put in the tank? It goes out the exhaust and goes up in the air, right? And a lot of it is CO2. I mean, it has other bad chemicals in it, but CO2 is the main one that goes up and causes the greenhouse effect and makes it hotter. So if you're feeling hot, if you're you don't like this hot weather, blame the people who are driving the cars that use gasoline. That's who you blame. And of course the oil companies who are selling it and impeding the transition to electric cars. Hey Mimloss, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Yeah, I was just talking about stuff here. I haven't gotten to the deer yet. I haven't shown those videos yet. Those are coming up next, I guess. So you didn't miss much. You missed a little bit follow-up I did on that movie review I did on Bliss, which was my last stream. And I did a whole bunch of pretty in-depth review of that. How are you? I tried to go to Ibram's stream earlier and tried to play a little bit of words on stream, and I just couldn't. It wasn't working. My dyslexia is pretty bad right now, so I wasn't able to do it. Plus, I was trying to get ready for my stream, and I couldn't get any of the words. So that's what that. So going back to our deal here. Turns out that aviation does take a whole bunch of, produce a whole bunch of CO2. It's a big deal, So if one of the things that you can do, of course, if you're not driving a gasoline car, you don't want to do that, and don't fly. Don't if somebody dies, or you got to go to a close friend's funeral or something like that, okay, maybe you can fly, to take care of something, important. But if you're just, going to one of these stupid Twitch conferences or something like that, that's it's a waste, you're making this situation worse. It's just going to get hotter and hotter. You see how hot it is right now. It's going to get worse and worse and worse over the next, couple decades. It's going to continue to get worse unless we stop putting all that CO2 into the atmosphere. So very important. Don't fly. Don't get in an airplane unless you absolutely have to. Unless somebody died, you got to go to a funeral, or you got to go to your mother's wedding or something. I don't know what so it's got to be something real important, right? Not just going on vacation, or whatever. You shouldn't have to get on a plane to do that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, club. This I thought was kind of interesting. What was this? I can't remember. Oh, somebody had showed a picture of a mace on their I didn't know what it was when I first saw it. I had to do a visual search of it. See if I can get it here. I don't think they have a picture of a mace here. Let's see if they got a picture of a mace. No. They did a... Let's see here. Here we go. Mace. There it is. This is how, you know, very early on, how people killed each other in wars and just, you know, whatever. You know, they started out with just having big sticks, right? Sticks and stones, you know the deal, right? And eventually they made them into they put these heads on the top of them with spikes and all this kind of stuff. And they called it's called a mace. Oh, look at this. Here's one with an axe on one side and a mace on the other side. Look at that. It's that's just the way that they kill each other, you know, a long time ago. There's a disc-shaped one, you know. And you think, okay, well we're beyond that, right? That was a long time ago. We don't do barbaric stuff and all this kind of stuff. But then I found this thing here. A multi-mission affordable capacity effector, MACE. It's an anti-ship missile. It's a missile system that has a small 75-pound explosive on it. And it's basically a mini cruise missile, but they call it mace, right? Just like these things over here. So we're still it's the same thing, right? We're still killing each other for no reason, you know. There's no reason why we should be killing each other, why we should be having wars now. It's ridiculous. And you know. Is that a picture of it? Is that it? No. Put up a picture there. All right, cruise missile. There it is. But that's a big, huge cruise missile. These are like little ones, right? That can launch from an airplane. I mean, like a fighter, like one of these planes here. You know, they strap them on the bottom or to the wing or whatever. These little fighter jets. And let's see what it says. It says it will be launched from F-18 or F-35. This is the newest ones, you know, not in the U.S. F-35s. It says it'll complement the long-range anti-ship missile, which is that one, which is that's a stealth missile, which is just bizarre. Anyway, I just thought it was just interesting that I was looking at this thing about mace and how barbaric it was and all this kind of stuff. And then that they went ahead and named this missile mace using the same, you know, and they knew what they were doing, of course, when they did that. So I just thought that was just so weird. We're still barbaric, you know. If you know the Fermi paradox. You're familiar with the Fermi paradox, where it's like where are all the aliens? Where are all the other intelligent life in the galaxy or in the universe or whatever? How come they haven't contacted us? That's why they haven't contacted us. They see all that stuff and they say, well, these guys we don't want anything to do with this race of this species of intelligent life here, or so-called intelligent life on Earth. So that's why I think that's where the Fermi paradox. Why nobody has contacted us? Because they don't want anything to do with us. Right. All right. All right. Let's see what else I have on my thing here. Let's see. SpaceX Starshield. Oh. Yeah, speaking of military stuff, you know, SpaceX, right? They got these satellites that they put up there for internet access, you know, that people don't like, that they put all over the place. Well, they're doing a bunch of military stuff, it turns out. It's not just Starlink. They got a thing called Star Shield, which is a whole nother set of satellites that are just for military stuff. It says Star Shield was adapted from the global communication network Starlink, but brings additional capabilities such as target tracking, optical and radio reconnaissance, and early missile warning. So, primary customers include a Space Development Agency, which I think is part of Space Force, National Reconnaissance Office, and the U.S. Space Force. Okay, I think these people are actually part of the Space Force. This other one, maybe not. Anyway, so Elon Musk is doing a bunch of weapons stuff too. So he's involved in a lot of this killing that's going on. You know, all these bad things. So not that we needed another thing to, you know, hate the guy for, but that's, you know, that's another thing that he's doing. This is one. I always talk about N95 masks, you know. But that N95 is not. It's only, you know, in the U.S. and and at some other countries, and like in Asia, it's the KN95, but that's a different specification, but it's similar. But in Europe, it's called FFP. They use FFP. So FFP2 is kind of similar to what an N95 would be, but it's 94%, whereas N95 is 95%. So it's a little bit different. And in the U.S., an N100 is 99.97% filtration, and the one that's close to that in Europe is called FFP3, which is 99%. So I always say N95, but you know, and FFP1 is not even it's just a filter. It's, you know, it's 80%. That doesn't do anything. You don't want to wear that to try to protect yourself from COVID or the flu or anything else. You gotta use FFP2 at least. So that was something that I found out, and I never really mentioned that when, you know, because I always talk about this, these the N95 masks, and I show you, you know, it's got to have these it's got to say N95 and all this. It has to say NIOSH on it, and, you know, and I give you the whole thing, right? You have to wear it whenever you're in public. You don't want to ever go out in public if you're not wearing this, and you got to make sure that it has straps that go all the way around behind your head. The KN95 doesn't require that, and I don't know if the FFP2 requires these straps to go all the way around your head, but NIOSH requires that. So that's one. If you're in the U.S., that's one way you can know that you have that. You know, if it doesn't have these straps that go all the way around your head, then it isn't an N95, and it's you know, it might not protect you the way an N95 would. But I always talk about this. You know, most of my shows I'll stop and tell people to make sure they wear their mask all the time. But I always say N95, and I don't mention for the people in Europe that it's FFP2. So, yeah, you gotta wear your mask. It's really important. It's on average, you're more likely to die from not wearing one of those N95 masks than you are to die from not wearing your seatbelt in a car. That's how risky it is. It's very risky to go without your mask. check something here. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, exploitation film. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it was that I was looking at that prompted me to look this up. But this is something that happens, that type of film that they put out that just tries to get people to watch it, you know. Hang on just a second here. I gotta check on something. All right. So it's a type of film that it's like it's usually B movies. They don't put a lot of budget into it, and it just has stuff that's sensational. You know, a lot of gory stuff, and well, they mention right here, sex, violence, drugs, gore, destruction, rebellion, mayhem, and the bizarre. Okay, so things that just, you know, they're trying to get people to watch it just because they want to see something that isn't normally a thing. I mean, a lot of this has become normalized now. You know, gory violence and stuff like that is kind of normal now. You know, in movies, so that isn't so much what, but like really very gory or, you know, really bizarre stuff, or, you know, freak show type stuff. Anyway, a lot of times it can exploit people too, and they have let me see here. Then in the 60s or late 60s, early 70s, I guess it was. They did something called a they call it black exploitation film, where they took this exploitation and they made movies that featured black people, but often it was done stereotypically. Let's see if they've got that here. There it is, black exploitation films. Derived from the exploitation film genre in the early 70s. Yeah, I hit it right. Good memory. Consequent to the combined cultural momentum of the Black Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, and Black Panther Party political and sociological circumstances that facilitated black artists reclaiming their power, of the representation of black people. Okay, the term black exploitation. All right, they explained what the term was, right? We already know that. In criticizing the Hollywood portrayal of the multiracial society of the U.S., Griffin said that blaxploitation genre was proliferating offenses to and against the black community by perpetuating racist stereotypes and inherent criminality. So that's another thing that they do a lot. This movie that I talked about here, this Let's Do It Again, was about a couple things that it associated with was boxing, was, you know, people fighting, and criminal. They were doing criminal activity, some bets and things, and so I wouldn't call this a blaxploitation film, because this one, in the film, when you watch it, they were satirizing blaxploitation, or you know, blaxploitation films. They were satirizing it in this film. Let's Do It Again. One of these days I'll do a review of this, and I'll explain that part of it. But there's just a whole bunch of things that they did that was satire, you know, against stereotypes and blaxploitation films in this movie. So this was not a blaxploitation film. That's something like Shaft, or, you know, some of these other films were were that way, exploiting, having stereotypes and stuff like that. All right, so that's that one. Let's see what else I've come across here. Oh, the Fourth Amendment. This one is just amazing. There's an exception to the Fourth Amendment. I mean, it's not really it's an exception as the Supreme Court says it's there, but I don't think it's there. Let's see here. One of the exceptions that they put here is exception consent. Motor vehicle. Let's see here. Where do you find that here? Exceptions. Here's immigration checkpoints. The Supreme Court allowed discretionless immigration checkpoints. Allowed discretionless sobriety checkpoints. Okay. Let me go a little bit further here. Plain view, exigent circumstances, motor vehicle. Here it is. Border search exception. Searches conducted at the United States border or the equivalent of the border, such as at an international airport, may be conducted without a warrant or probable cause subject to the border search exception. But what they did is they expanded that. Here, I'll read you what they did. They said federal law allows certain federal agencies to conduct search and seizures within 100 miles of the border into the interior of the United States. Yeah. And I think that's been to the court. How could that be? When you look at a map of the U.S., I mean, that covers virtually all of the state that I'm in. Most of the state I'm in, and Maine and Vermont, upstate New York. I mean, it's like it turns out it's like a third of the country or something like that. A quarter or a third of the country is covered by this 100-mile thing. You look at Florida. That's all of Florida. Then that covers all of Florida, right? Because they're so it's most of California, all these things. So that's not good. That wasn't good for me to find out that the state I'm in the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply. That kind of sucks. So that was something I thought was. I'm going to cover the. Maybe I'll look into this. The Supreme Court issued a few more decisions this week, and I haven't read them yet. I read part of them, but I didn't read all of them. I read. Who was it? Somebody's Kavanaugh's concurring opinion on the birthright citizenship. I read that because I thought it was kind of interesting. But I'll get into that later on. Maybe I'll do a stream on that, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not that interested in SCOTUS anymore. They're not following the Constitution anymore. So what's the point, right? All right, let's see what we get here. Oh, Chester A. Arthur. Yeah, this guy's kind of interesting. You know who this guy is? He was president of the United States. 21st president of the United States. I think I've talked about him online before. But he was just an interesting guy, and I just he was a reluctant president. He didn't want to be president. Garfield got shot and took a few weeks to die. He got shot. He didn't die right away. And so there was like this, ambiguity as to what was going on, who was running things, because Garfield was, lying in his bed, his deathbed, and this guy Arthur, Chester A. Arthur, didn't want to, he was reluctant. He didn't really want to be president. He wanted to be vice president. He really didn't want to be president, and but the president got killed, and so he had to be president, but he didn't. When Garfield was lying in his deathbed, Chester A. Arthur was, I forget who he was. He was miles away somewhere. Maybe he was in Vermont. I don't know where he was, but he was miles away, and he didn't go, to Washington for a long time. It took him a while to get going. People were kind of criticizing him, saying, "Hey, you got to get up there, because he's dying." Anyway, so he was a reluctant president, and the cool thing that I think about him was that at the time things were very corrupt. We had the spoils system, which was where when a new president came in, he could fire anybody and replace him and put his own people into the positions. And it was all, throughout the whole government. It wasn't just, his cabinet or whatever. It was anybody, And they called it the spoils system. And they would just use that to pay off their political friends, and stuff like that with jobs that were just jobs just to funnel money to them more, they weren't real jobs. So what he did, and he was part of that whole spoils system. He was this Conkling guy. Roscoe Conkling was a big political guy, and Chester A. Arthur was came up through that whole system, But when he became president, he passed, or signed into law, a law that reformed that whole civil service system. Let's see when he did that here. There it is. Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act, 1883. It says, which came to the surprise of reformers who held a negative opinion of Arthur as a stalwart and product of the Conkling's organization. So there it is right there. He signed that into law. So the guy, when Garfield got killed, it was kind of related to that whole thing. The assassin who killed Garfield was upset that he didn't get one of these positions, one of these political payoff positions or something, and so he shot Garfield. So anyway, I thought that was what causes me to give this guy a lot of respect is that he came from that whole corrupt system, but when he got into power and he became president, he actually reformed that and made it less corrupt. So kudos to that guy for doing that. That's we need more people like that right now. Another thing he did was he put a whole bunch of money into the Navy, building up the Navy, up until the Civil War. After the Civil War, we didn't have much of a Navy as a country. But during this guy's administration, they passed a bunch of laws that began to put a whole bunch of money into the Navy. And by the time we got involved into the Spanish-American War, in the last part of that century, of the 19th century, we had a really beefed up Navy, and we won that Spanish-American War very easily. And so that caused us to get very imperialistic, right? We went and just used our power and expanded our influence, and that's what made us into a world power. So what he did caused us to be more, caused the U.S. to be more powerful, become a world power. If you follow the chain of events all the way back, this is the guy, you know, who set that into motion. So that's, and people don't realize that. You don't think about that. People only think about wartime presidents, really. You know, they think about Roosevelt or whatever, right? or Lincoln or but it's these other presidents that can do stuff that is even more consequential than that. But it's just that they just don't get the recognition in history, you know. All right, let's see what else we got here. Golf? What did I do? Oh, golf ball. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Something that came up in my YouTube feed was this Mythbuster thing where they took a car and they put dimples in a car like on a golf ball to see if it would reduce drag, and it actually did. It reduced the drag on the car to put a bunch of dimples in it, which was just amazing. And I didn't understand that, but it's there's some complicated thing that goes on with these dimples. Oh, I know it. It breaks up the laminar flow around the ball. Kind of like if you think of like a suction cup. If you put a suction cup on something, if it's nice and smooth and it makes a good seal, then it's gonna stick, and it's gonna have a lot of pull to it if you try to pull on it. Right? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, let me fix my camera here. Hang on just a second. All right, my camera's frozen. Sorry. So like if you have a suction cup, right, and you put it on the glass or something, if the suction cup is all smooth and you put it onto the glass, then it's gonna stuck. There'll be a pull on it, right? And that's kind of what goes on with the golf ball. Or a ball. If a ball is smooth, then the laminar flow of that air hugs the ball, and it causes kind of like a suction effect behind it, and that's where a lot of the drag comes from. You get drag from the air hitting the front of it, but you also get this drag of a suction effect behind the thing as this air that has a laminar flow pulls back there. And so if you put all these dimples on this on the golf ball, it'll disrupt that laminar flow of the air and make it so that there's less suction. This is like a suction cup, same idea. And it actually makes the ball go a lot further when they do that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I'm surprised that they don't do that in cars. Why maybe they do that. I don't know. It's a little more difficult to do on cars because golf ball has a certain speed range that it's when you first hit it, it's going, but it has a certain velocity that's going, and it more or less keeps that velocity for most of the thing, right? Which is it's terminal velocity right through the air basically. But in a car you've got all different speeds that you can drive, so it's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder to do. But the Mythbusters did that. So I recommend looking at that Mythbusters video if you're interested in that kind of stuff and aerodynamics and drag and all that. It's not scientific or anything, but it's just kind of funny that they did that. There's no. Of course, it's not. It's not a controlled experiment or anything, but it was quite a bit different. So it was significant enough that it was that those dimples did make an effect on a car. So it's just kind of weird that they don't do that. Why don't our cars look like that? Kind of interesting. All right, let's see what else I got here. Calvin Coolidge. Oh yeah, I've been looking into this guy. I don't know. He seems like he might be kind of interesting. people don't talk about him too much, but he actually had a bunch of good stuff that he was into. He's fiscally conservative, so that's good. He didn't spend a lot of money, which means there's not a lot of corruption, right? The more money that a government spends, the more corruption there is, right? That's the way it works. Strong support for women's suffrage, so that was a good thing that he had. Vague opposition to prohibition, but there was something else that he did. Oh, he was like very much. He was a civil rights guy early on. He was in office 1920s and all that. When the Ku Klux Klan was going around doing terrorizing the country, he was actually more of a civil rights guy, very very early on. But I haven't studied him completely. He's exactly what his deal was. Oh, he's born in Vermont. Yeah. I think I saw his house. Let me see. Is this the one? I saw a president's where a president was born in Vermont. There's a house. I think it was this president. I think it was Calvin Coolidge. Let's see if they have it here. Oh. There it is. No, that's Massachusetts, Vermont. No, that's not it. Maybe it was another president. There's a house in Vermont, not too far from here, where they have a little teeny house on a corner near a golf course or something, and it says, oh, here's where such and such was born. It was one of the presidents. I thought it was this guy. Maybe it was somebody else. Anyway, so I need to study more about him, see what his deal was, see why he is, see if he really was. It's hard to figure these things out, people who, these old presidents, that's over 100 years ago. So it's hard to evaluate them on a lot of things because the time was so different and the attitudes were so different, this was like right when women first got the right to vote, even. It was quite different, during this time. So it's always hard to evaluate when you get that many years back to evaluate presidents and their positions and what they did and stuff like that. You have to look at who they were in their environment, what the environment was at the time, what people were like at that time, and all that kind of stuff. This guy here, he claimed to be president for one day. Let me see what it was here. He's a racist, just a total asshole, this guy. But when one of the presidents was, let's see here. Let me see if I can find that here. Oh, God, which one was it? All right, hang on just a second here. Let's see, Civil War. Here's one-day presidency. Yeah, Zachary Taylor. Okay, on it's January 20th now, which it used to be March 4th, which is inauguration day. We moved it up, right? The was the 20th Amendment, 21st Amendment, I can't remember which one it was, that moved it up to March 4th, or to January 20th, but it used to be March 4th. Anyway, it fell on a Sunday when Zachary Taylor got elected. He was supposed to be inaugurated on March 4th because his predecessor's term ended, so he had to get signed in to be president. But it fell on a Sunday, and they didn't want to do business on a Sunday because of church and all that stuff, And so he didn't take the oath until the next day. And this guy was what was he? He was Speaker of the House or something like that. And he said that because let's see, President Pro Tem, that's what he is. Congress had previously chosen him as President Pro Tem of the Senate. So I guess he was saying because this Zachary Taylor didn't get sworn in, neither Zachary Taylor or the vice president got sworn in, and the House hadn't set up their Speaker of the House. So this guy, as President Pro Tem of the Senate, said he was president for one day because nobody had got signed in as president. So it fell to him, he said. But his whole argument falls apart because he didn't get sworn in either. Nobody got sworn in. So it's stupid. It's just one of those weird things, that I never heard of this before. It's just, and he was a real asshole. He owned slaves, and he was just a real dick, But it's just kind of funny that they have that thing, Let's see what else I got here. Oh, Split. That's that film that I did the review of. Let's see here. Yeah, we covered that pretty much. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in here. I was surprised that this was an Amazon film because it was really well done. I mean, a big deal. So kind of interesting that they did that. Oh, there was some of the scenes in that movie were filmed in Croatia. They had in that movie, I won't spoil it, but there's a section here where they kind of show a utopia type situation, and so they show these scenes in this town called Split. That's the name of the town, Split, Croatia. Split is the name of the town, and it's funny because kind of the main part of the narrative and the guy's message in the movie Bliss is that it splits, is that the country is split on what they even think of are the facts, what reality is. That's how bad our split is right now. And it's funny that he picked this town called Split in Croatia to do part of the filming. So I thought it was kind of funny. Let me see if I can find some of those scenes, some of those places here. Maybe yeah, when they're walking around. Oh wait, I don't know what that is. Hang on a second. See if they got a gallery at the end. A lot of times they put a gallery at the end. I'll show you. See that? I guess a lot of Europeans probably take. Oh, here we go. There we go. Look at that, just perfectly blue water. So this is where they were taking a lot of the scenes, and they also did some. There's an island just off the coast here that they also did some shooting for the film. So. It's fun. It's just one of those things, I'm just just doing my thing, just learning new stuff, and then I come across something like that, a town named Split that I never heard of this town before. I heard Croatia, of course, I heard of. I knew about Croatia and where that was and all that, but I didn't know it had a town named Split in Croatia. It's kind of cool. All right, let's see. Did I go through enough of this here? Let's see. Let me see if I got any more here. Oh, this is kind of an interesting film that I saw called The Bamboo Saucer. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. It's a weird 50s 50s film, or 60, 68 film. It's a Cold War thing. Maybe I'll do a review of that sometime. Oh, this is another one I found. The Holy Roman Empire. I never heard of this before. I knew the Roman Empire and the Roman Republic and all that kind of stuff, and they had all different things for the Roman this, Roman that. But this is 1500s. This is 15th, 16th century, and it lasted until the 1800s. And they call it the Roman Empire, but it's not the Roman Empire. But apparently the guy who was was the monarch of this thing had some distant relative who was in the one of the monarchs in the Roman Empire way much earlier. But I didn't really heard of this before, and it wasn't in Rome. It's not in Rome. They're calling it the Roman Empire. It wasn't anywhere near Rome. It's in Germany, or around Germany. Whatever it looked like at that time. Here's a map of it there. Rome's way down here, right? And it's up here. So I thought that was just kind of interesting. Because after the fall of Rome, centuries after the fall of Rome, here's this empire called the Roman Empire. They call it Holy Roman Empire. So anyway, I didn't really read the whole thing. I didn't learn that much about it, other than it was just different than the Roman Empire, and that it was the reason why they called it the Holy Roman Empire was because this guy had some sort of relation, distant relative who was a monarch in the Roman Empire. So anyway, that was something kind of interesting. And you'll probably be hearing more about this. They're doing a film, right, called The Odyssey. I don't know if they're playing, promoting that yet, but you're going to hear about that. Somebody is one of the big directors is doing a movie about the Odyssey. It's probably not going to be anywhere close to what the actual Odyssey is, because when you look at the story of the Odyssey, the protagonist just does a whole bunch of horrible things, and is basically just a terrorist who just slaughters innocent people, and he does all kinds of horrible things, women and children, and killing them, and it's just horrible. But at that time, when life didn't mean that much to people, that was seen as he was seen as a hero. So it'd be interesting to see how this movie comes out, exactly how they treat it, because this story is pretty horrible. What this guy does, all the stuff that he does. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. Here's another. I was looking at the Odyssey, and I remembered reading this one back in college a million years ago. Gilgamesh story, which is a real, even older story. I forget what this guy does, but it's Babylonian times. Yeah, I remember what the story's about, but it's another old story. I'm sure the guy's very the same deal. This came up. Facts. I saw this. It came up in my YouTube feed. And I didn't actually watch the video because they had I didn't like the way that they were. They had clickbait, and I try not to click on clickbait, but they had this word, and I didn't know what the word meant. I looked it up, and it's this wasp, and apparently this wasp has some sort of behavior which is very programmed, and they can. It goes through a very complicated program when it catches its prey and brings it back to its nest and all this kind of stuff. And they found out that it's programmed, and it's not like a conscious behavior of this thing, because they would take the prey and move it a little bit, and it would actually go, and it would just go through the same program again. So anyway, So I guess it's become a word now, or maybe it will become a word soon. That just means somebody who does things by habit, I guess. Long story. All right. Okay, and then there's this guy. This guy I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Al-Biruni, I don't know. Biruni. He was a scholar, I guess, a long time ago here. 19. He lived in 973 to 1050, in the middle of no time, right in the middle of Dark Ages, where. But he was doing all kinds of math and physics and astronomy and all this kind of stuff when things were kind of not really a time that it wasn't known. Wasn't known for that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is before the Enlightenment and all that kind of stuff. But he was doing a lot of this kind of science. And one of the things that he did was he figured out how to measure the Earth, the size of the Earth. And the way he did it is he went up on top of a mountain. And first he used trigonometry to figure out how tall the mountain was by measuring this angle. You know how that works, right? To figure out how tall something is with an angle. Then he went up to the top of the mountain, and he used this special instrument called an astrolabe, I think is what it's called. Astrolabe, something like that. Astrolabe. And he measured the angle to the horizon. So, like if you're right on the surface of the Earth and you measure the horizon, it's almost vertical, right? It's almost horizontal. There's no angle at all. But when you get up on a mountain like that and you measure it, it's going to be different, right? Horizontal would be this way, and you measure to the horizon, it's going to be a little bit lower. It's exaggerated here, right? There's no mountains that are that big. But there is a little bit of a difference there, like a half a degree or a degree or whatever, depending upon how tall the mountain is. And so he did that. He went up on top of the mountain, measured that angle, and by measuring that angle, he could use trigonometry to figure out what the radius of the Earth is. And he did it, and he was really close. And let's see, he was, he calculated the radius of Earth at 3928.77 miles, which is just 2% higher than the actual radius. So that's pretty good back in 900 to 10 to 1000 AD. That was pretty good. And the cool thing about this method is it doesn't require going to like whole different cities to measure differences in latitude and all that kind of stuff, and sun angle between two different cities and all that. It can be done by basically one person in one location can do this little thing. So that's kind of cool. And the instrument that he used was called an autolab, or something like that. And this here is the people who were on ships and stuff way back when, and after that time, but like in the 14, 15, 1600s, something like that, they used these things called a mariner's astrolabe. Maybe that's what it is. Astrolabe, I guess that's how you pronounce that. But the ones that they used were very heavy. They weighted them down so that they would kind of stay stable when the ship was rocking around, so they could point these at stars and figure out where they were, using these things. And it turns out that there are only 187, I think they said, of these things that are around, that are still around, which I think is amazing. So these things are very, very rare. Yeah, if you ever see one of these at a yard sale, pick it up, There aren't a lot of them. This is, let's see. Here it is. In 2017, only 108 were known to exist. 108. That's how rare those things are, which is just amazing. That's so how we know. I guess a lot of them sunk with the ships, right? When the ship went down. you know. Or maybe they, because they have so much metal in them, maybe they melted them down for the metal for other stuff. You know, who knows? I don't know. But I think that was kind of interesting. Let's see if I got anything else here. What is this? Oh, this is kind of interesting. This is an old, kind of like a split off from Islam. I don't know, like, you know, Islam is split into Sunnis and Shia, and this apparently this was one like a kind of a splinter group off of old Islam, and their main thing is that they believe in determinism, predeterminism, and they're saying that God determines everything. But the whole idea is that nothing that anybody does, nobody has free will or any of that, and that's what this old religion was all about. And here we are in the 21st century, well into the 21st century, and there's still still a big thing, even in physics, you know, talking about what, you know, if things are determined or are not, you know, do we have free will and all that kind of stuff, and we're still talking about that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it's, you know, another one of these things that I never heard of. Just a really esoteric thing. What is it? Jabriya, I guess. Jabriya, I don't know. So those are some of the things that I've been looking at. Just as new things that today I learned. I guess TIL today I learned. I said it wasn't just today; it was like a whole week's worth of stuff or more. So that's just interesting stuff. Okay, let's get to the deer videos. Everybody wants to see the deer videos. All right, let's see here. Where is the video here? All right, so couple streams ago, we did the thing with the deer, and they were right, the little mama and baby deer, and the baby deer got stuck because of the fence and all that. Remember that? Well, they came back. Was it on Monday? Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. I put my camera out over in that little area to try to take pictures of the crows out there, and I got pictures of the baby crows. We have baby crows. They just fledged a month or so ago or whatever. So I got pictures of them, but I also got pictures of the deer. So let me show you that. All right, so here we go. That's a baby crow right there. He's only like, I don't know, maybe 8 weeks old or something like that. He's not too old. Did you see that? The squirrel. The squirrels will make false charges at the crows. You know, they won't. I've never seen them actually contact the crow and actually try to, because the crow will pick, you know, get them with their beak, right? But they do these false charges towards the crows, and the crows fall for it every time. And a lot of times they'll drop their, you know, if they have a peanut in their mouth or whatever, they'll drop it, and then the squirrel will get the peanut, you know, that kind of a thing. Maybe I can zoom in on that. Let's see here. There we go. Zoomed in a little bit. That's not too good. All right, well, I'm not going to do that. And here comes the deer. Look at this. So after that crow, actually, the deers start approaching, and it scare the crow away here. And watch these deer. Watch what happens when they come up. Look at that guy. See that? That's the little fawn. And he's much more sturdy on his feet now, right? Did you see that? Let me back it up here again. He comes running in. See, there he goes. See, he's much better on his feet. He shouldn't have any trouble getting over the fence now. You know, he's growing up enough. He's stronger and all that kind of stuff, more coordinated and all that. But watch what these deer do. He smells my camera, probably my smell on the camera. So he approaches. Look at that. That's an extreme close-up of the deer. A little fawn. So this is Monday, so and then he goes in for a drink. And the crow came back. The crow, I guess, figured out that they weren't a threat, so he came back to get his peanuts. It's kind of funny. But look at Mama. Mama's looking at that camera like, what's, you know, that doesn't look right, you know. She's very, very apprehensive, you know. She probably smells me on the camera. You know, my smell's all over that camera, so. Actually, my smell's all over here. I put peanuts out here, so my smell is all over this place here. For those animals that can smell really good. I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but couple things that you can use to tell that these crows are babies. Well, first of all is the call, right? They have a call that sounds like a baby crow. I mean, you know what a crow sounds like. And their call sounds much different. Uh-oh, something's going on here. Hang on. Something happened. Oh, Mimloss. Oh, great. Thank you, Mimloss. Get to my... Thank you for the raid, Mimloss. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we finally got to the deer here. I have just doing this is kind of a potpourri stream I'm doing here. How was your Grand Theft Auto? Did you win? I don't know. I assume you were playing Grand Theft Auto. Mimloss raid, yes. Yeah, thank you for the raid, Mimloss. I saw you lurking there earlier. Oh, you said hello too earlier a little bit. About an hour ago. I won stuff. Good. I was mostly listening to you. Oh, okay. Oh, great. That's good. It's good to know. Sometimes you get, you don't know. You have. Oh, Ebram. Hi, Ebram. Hi. I stopped into your stream, your words on stream earlier, but I was trying to set up and stuff, and I wasn't concentrating very closely, and my dyslexia is pretty bad right now, so I tried typing in a few words and couldn't. I could tell it wasn't I wasn't going to get anything, so. And Mimla says, no, I'm paying attention here. Good. I appreciate that. Yeah, you never know. You never know when you got lurkers, what's going on, because I know when I lurk, sometimes I'm not paying attention all the time, But that's good. That's good to know that somebody is listening, and I'm not talking to myself, Erum, hi, Devil. Hi, Erum. Hi. Okay. Yeah. Well, that was really cool. I did that that story you covered about the couple that climbed up Empire State Building. That was pretty cool. I didn't even hear about that because I don't look at mainstream media, so that's how I find out about this stuff. It's when somebody brings it up in their stream or their chat or whatever. So that was kind of cool. I actually looked up some videos on it and stuff and saw the flag that they put. It was actually a really big flag that they put up there. It's a huge flag that they put up there. It was an anti-war thing, I guess, right? Make love, not war. Something like that. I don't know what it was. And it was a couple. It was a couple and a man and a woman couple. And the man proposed to the woman about not just the that happens, right? I'm sure that happens a lot at the observation deck of the Empire State Building, right? A lot of proposals happen up there, but this guy took it another step, another step up. They both must have very large testicles. yeah, it's. Yeah, so I watched the story. Somebody, one of the main ABC or NBC or whatever, I don't know, and they did a thing on it. But I watched that really quickly. I'll have to go into YouTube and see what the real deal is, right? That's just what mainstream says about it. We don't know for sure. But oh wait, I got to turn my camera on here. I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm not showing my reactions here. Oh shit! My camera's not even working. Hang on just a second here. I gotta make it go here. Unplug again. There we go. All right. Yeah, I saw that. That was so funny. That they did that, and they got arrested and all that. All things. They wore masks, which was kind of. I don't understand why they wore masks if they're going to get arrested anyway. That's kind of weird. And they are from Russia, the Russian nationals, apparently. So I guess they're protesting Ukraine, the war between Russia and Ukraine, right? Or just wars generally, right? A lot of wars going on all over. So that was kind of cool. And that unfurled that big one. What did it say? It said, it wasn't make love, not war. It was something close to that, though. It was like, when the power of love beats the love of power, then we'll have peace in the world, or something like that. That was their message. So. And he proposed to her, so it's kind of back into the theme, right? All right, so let's go back to those videos here. So since you guys just rated in, I'll back up this video and show you the cool part, because we just played the cool part. So basically, it's. I go out, see this little blue thing? I don't know if you can see that or not, but I have a rope hanging between trees here, and I hang bird feeders from it, and that's so the bears can't get to my bird feeders, And so I fill those up every morning, and I throw peanuts all over for the crows and the squirrels and stuff. And we have baby crows out there. We've got little, these crows are about maybe 8 weeks old or something. I don't know. I don't know when they fledged. I missed that. But I was explaining how you can tell that they're babies. Is just the way they act. They act like everything is new all the time. But also they have. Sometimes you can see these little fluffy these white fluffy feathers that show up a little bit on under their wings and stuff like that, more than an adult. And at the corner of their mouth, there's like a red spot for just a couple weeks after they fledge. This one, that red spot's already pretty much gone. But anyway, this is what happened. Was I put the camera out there, And after about 10 or 15 minutes, look way up here, there's a deer. Way up here, and they'll come. She's waiting for the little baby, and then the baby comes. And watch what happens here. There's the baby. So the baby's much more confident now, and I'm sure she has no trouble hopping over the fences now. And there's the mama deer. The mama deer is looking at the camera trying to figure out what's going on. She knows that ain't supposed to be in the middle of the forest, you know. And look at how close that one comes up. Sort of. And the little one's not afraid of it because she, I mean, when she was having trouble getting over the fence, remember, she came right up to me while I was out there. So she's kind of used to my smell, I guess. I don't know what's going on there. And she goes back to get a drink. There we go. That bird call you hear in the background is a jay. That's the jay's happy sound. That's what the sound they make when they're happy. You see how this crow is kind of acting like everything is new to it? That's because it's a baby. Everything is new to it. It's just. Has a really nice sheen to its feathers too. I think it's more sheen than an adult would have on these guys. You can kind of see a little bit of white here. See a little bit of white on its wings there, a little bit and stuff. Those are the little down feathers that it's still getting rid of when it was a baby in a nest. You know, they're covered with those feathers to keep them warm. Well, you can kind of see a little bit about that. A little bit. Let's see if I can zoom in on that here. Yeah, you can see that a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I had to lower the resolution here to get it to work, on my computer while it was streaming. But if you look at his mouth, and the corner of his mouth here, you can see a little bit. It's a little bit red there. See that? Just a little bit. It's almost gone. When they're, like a couple weeks ago, that would be all red right there. There he goes. Also, another way you can tell is when they land. They don't, like, if the judges were scoring their landing, they wouldn't get a 10. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of unsteady. when they land. That's another way you can tell. They haven't got all the finesse yet on their flying and landing and all that. All right, so let me find another one here. I got another video here. The deer actually came back again. There are more squirrels in this one. You can see the shadow of the camera here. Where, you know, it's a little team camera on a tripod. That's basically all it is. But a lot of the animals will look at it. Sometimes the squirrels will stop and look at it, trying to figure out what it is. You know, squirrels and chipmunks. A lot of those guys. And here come the deer again. The squirrel's not too concerned about the deer. Didn't really run away from him or anything, because he must be used to it. I mean, they're pretty smart, you know, that they can recognize, you know, which animals are, you know, are going to hurt them and which ones aren't. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it takes some brain power to figure all that out, you know, and to remember it and all that. There's a shadow of the squirrel on the tree. The tree's actually behind the camera. These are kind of cool pictures of the deer because they're not. Normally when you see a deer, they're going to be frightened and, you know, really looking around and trying to, you know, they're usually afraid, you know, when you see them because they know that you're there, you know. But this one is just totally, you know, what deer would be like just out in the middle of nowhere where there's no people. That's how they act, you know. Pretty cool. I think the little baby deer comes back again. I don't know if I have that here or not in this clip. Another squirrel. Yeah, these squirrels are baby squirrels too. This is their first year also. They come out a little bit earlier though than the crows, so they've been around a month or so. Couple months. All right, that's it. All right. All right, so that's the deer. So that's pretty cool. That's good to know that they got, you know, reunited and they're doing well and stuff. So that's kind of cool. All right, everybody else. You know, you always wonder when you see them out there, you know, and they hit like, you know, I wasn't sure if that, you know, what was going on there. I didn't actually see that the mother and the baby got reunited in that last one, you know. But obviously they did, and they're happy and healthy and all that, so that's cool. All right, what else did I have in here? Potpourri, that was, and deer, and Followup and Bliss. Okay, I think we covered everything. I don't think there's anything else here. Let me look and see if I've got anything else. Oh, I do have a little bit more here. Wait a second. Oh my goodness, I got about much more here. Okay, that we don't care about. Let's see here. I don't think we care about that. Let's see. Oh, Anthony Quinn. Oh, this is. Yeah, that was. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that right now, I guess. Yeah, I guess we can show this here. There was this woman here, Ellen Hawley. So what happened was back in the early 70s, 72 or something like that, or I forget when it was. Anthony Quinn announced that he was going to do a movie about Haiti, about the Haitian Revolution, specifically about this Henry. What's his name? Henry. I can find that here. Hang on just a second. I forget the guy's name. Henry Christophe. Henry Christophe. This guy. See that guy? Henry Christophe. He said he was going to do a movie about this guy, Anthony Quinn. This guy was going to do it, and he said that he was going to play the part of Henry Christophe. But you know, he's a white guy, right? Or he's Latino. Latino and European, I guess. Latino and Irish, I think. I forget what he is. But so that's you know, how does that work, right? How can he play that guy without going blackface? So he announced that he was going to do that he was going to, you know, make this movie about this guy and play him in the movie. And there was a big controversy, and this woman here, Ellen Hawley, she was upset about that. And she wrote a letter to the New York Times saying how awful it was that Anthony Quinn wanted to do a movie where he was basically in blackface playing that Christophe guy. And apparently it was a big thing, you know, big controversy at the time. But what's interesting is she is actually African American. She's got like one half or quarter or something African American, but she looks like a white woman, right? And when she made her start in television. And she went on this, they call it soap operas. I don't know if you ever heard of maybe some of you are too young for that, know what a soap opera was. A soap opera was a cheaply produced daily television shows that were often shot in just one take, you know, and poorly written and all, you know, the whole thing, right? Anyway, so but there are a lot of actors got their starts on these soap operas. So this soap opera is called One Life to Live, and they cast her on this show, and she went on the show and was went and just played her character. I don't know, nurse or somebody, I forget what she was playing on this show for a long time. And on the show, you know, often on the show it was very, you know, it was about people cheating on each other, or, you know, it was just whatever they could to try to get people to keep watching the show. And her character, named Carla, the character she was playing, they made people think that she was Italian, but she was going to get married to a doctor on the show, but to add tension or whatever, they had her, before she got married, she started falling for another doctor. But the other doctor was African American, and they showed them kiss on screen. They showed this actress, Holly, Ellen Holly, kiss an African American actor on screen. And up until that point, everybody thought she was a white person or Italian white, European. And so, and at that time, there weren't a lot of people kissing on TV, and apparently a lot of people called into the station because they didn't like that, because they saw this woman here who they thought was white kiss an African American actor, but she's African American herself. So it was, and this was at a time. This was the early '70s, I think. Let's see when this happened. Let's see, 69. Okay, in 72. Okay. So it's before this. I don't know. They don't put the date on here. They didn't put a lot of dates. That's one thing I don't like about Wikipedia. They don't put dates in there when a lot of stuff happened. So I don't know when that happened. It's late 60s, early 70s. During height of the civil rights movement and all that, Civil Rights Act and all those. Race was in the consciousness, and it's when Martin Luther King was killed, and there was just a lot going on that time. So anyway, that was something I thought was kind of interesting. I didn't know who she was. I never heard of her before. I never heard of a lot of this stuff, but it was something that I learned. So that was kind of interesting. And the way I found out about this was I was looking on YouTube, and on YouTube there was a clip from the Dick Cavett show. Dick Cavett was like a talk show guy, but he was more of an intellectual, or more, wasn't like variety. It was more, talking about actual stuff of substance, And this came up in he was interviewing James Earl Ray. Is that who it was? No. Who was he interviewing? It wasn't James Earl Ray. Oh God, I forget now. Anyway, it came up. Dick Cavett show. They were talking about it, and they were talking about that whole situation. So I, like I do when I find out something, often on a TV show or on a video or whatever, they'll mention something, but they won't cover it. They won't explain it. They'll just barely talk about it without explaining the whole thing. And so then that causes me to go and look it up and on Wikipedia or wherever and try to find out what the details were and all that kind of stuff, So that's what I did. So then I told you all about it. All right, I think that's it. I think that's all I got here in on my browser tabs here. Yeah, that's the last tab. So that's a lot of tabs, isn't it? That's a lot of tabs to go through. How many do we go through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, so about 30, because a couple of them we didn't cover. So it's about 30 different subjects. That's a lot of potpourri, isn't it? I did a lot of potpourri today. All right. Let's see what I got here. How many do I have any? I don't think I have enough viewers to raid anybody. Let me see. Yeah, I don't think I have enough to raid. Oh, I can raid back into Memloss. Memloss is still out there, I guess. Let me see. Let me see if he's still out there. Yeah, I'll raid back to Memloss. Oh no, he's gone. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I don't think I always worry about raiding when I only have a few people, because I'm not sure who's going to make it through the raid, and then you end up, instead of being welcome raiders, it's welcome raider. You know what I mean? So I don't want to do that. All right. Let's see what we got to do. I got to do my credit roll here. Now that's going to take a second here for me to figure that out. Credit roll description. All right, so let me put this up there. Documents. Get my document, put that up there, cut that off, do that off, do this over, transition this. Okay, so here's my little document that I use for showing my credits. And I updated it right here, July 2nd. That's today, July 2nd. Actually, I'm on the East Coast, so we're technically July 3rd. We're after midnight. And this is not what I talked about. This is basically potpourri. Potpourri. I learned how to spell potpourri right before the stream. And I actually remembered how to spell it. I used a little mnemonic. I said it's pot, pour, and an R-E. That's how I remembered how to spell it. Because the T is silent. It's a weird word, right? The T is silent and all that. So, okay. Hang on just a second. Hang on. I'm trying to get this figured out here. Oh, Memloss says, oh, the tech bird is on. Oh yeah, he's always on. Oh yeah, I could safely raid into his, couldn't I? Because even if nobody makes it over there, it's okay, right? All right, we'll do that. We'll raid the tech bird. All right, I'll update all this stuff later. Anyway, I showed clips from Bliss plus other stuff, plus more. Yeah, that's what I did. All right, so these are my social, whatever, my couple websites and all that, Double Triple on Twitch and YouTube, and Mastodon account that I never used. And let's see, we did show copyright material under fair use. That was the Bliss stuff. Didn't show too much of that, but I did show some of that. What else? I don't think I did any of the other thing. I did show some a lot of Wikipedia articles. So I got those, and there were some images in the Wikipedia that have their own license, whatever the licenses were on those. But yeah, the articles themselves from Wikipedia are under 4.0. Alright, I guess that's it. I don't think I had anything else here that I used. And I showed my own clips, my own original clips. And because I put everything on a Creative Commons, this whole stream, other than the copyrighted stuff, is all on a 4.0 Creative Commons license. So you can use all those if you want. If any of that stuff you want to use, go ahead. The stuff that's not other people's, you know what I'm saying, right? My stuff. All right, so we covered that. All right, let's see if I can figure out how to do a raid here. Over to TechBird. Used to be called the Tech Nerd. Is that TechBird? Okay. Yeah, it used to be called the Tech Nerd, and he changed it to Tech Bird. And he put up a camera. It's not just a camera; it's a camera with a whole AI system and everything that visually identifies not only the pictures of the birds but the sounds of the birds. Very, very cool, and it has controls that you can control which camera shows, and he has a contest which I never actually, I should join that. It's a contest that keeps track of how much you watch or something. I forget what it is, but it's pretty cool. He put a lot of work into it, so let's support him. All right, let me go to chat here. Thank you for the stream. Well, thank you, Memloss, for yeah, an easy raid. Yeah, it should be an easy raid. Yeah, thank you, Memloss, for watching my goofy stream here, talking about all kinds of weird goofy stuff. All right, let's see. I think I can do it. It's a /raid. Oh, it's typing in. Oh, look at this. Okay, raid browser, raid channel. Okay, the Tech Bird. That's how he does it. All right, so we'll start the raid, and you know the deal on raids, right? Oh, I just got to do shout-outs. Yeah, let me do shout-outs. Is there anybody here who doesn't know anybody else? Really? I think all of us already follow. Let me look who's actually watching here. Let me see. I think everybody here follows everybody else that's here. So, okay, we don't need to do shout-outs, right? Okay, good. Thank you, Eroom. Thank you, Memloss. Thank you, Big Ducky Snow, for lurking. Sorry to pull you out of lurk. And Peekaboo was here earlier. Who else? I forget. And we had some anonymous viewers, I think. So, thank you everybody for watching. And I'm gonna start the raid here. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna play my squirrel video here as we go. Bye bye.